Hello everyone, my name is Chief Landless and welcome back to another Halo 4 video. This video is going to be sort of like a tips and tricks video meets a little bit of a discussion video, as I'm going to be expanding upon my thoughts on the Halo 4's Fiesta game type, which I've touched on before in the previous video, but I was talking about the action stack playlist as a whole. So this time I'm going to be talking a little bit more specifically in regards to the Fiesta playlist and give you guys some tips and share my thoughts on how to make the Fiesta game type much more enjoyable and how to dominate in this game variant a lot easier. So before I get onto the portion where I tell you guys how I made Fiesta more enjoyable for myself, I guess a little bit of a backstory is in order. For those that may not be familiar with Fiesta game variant in previous Halo games, essentially the whole idea of the Fiesta game variant was random weapons and just chaotic fun. Basically, you could respawn with a magnum or a plasma pistol, and maybe the next life you would spawn with an energy sword, or maybe you would spawn with a rocket launcher and a sniper rifle, and you would cherish those moments that you would have a power weapon, because who knows what weapon you may spawn with next, and you might get screwed with a magnum and just a plasma pistol when everybody else has power weapons. So when 343 implemented Fiesta Slayer into Halo 4, many of us veteran players were taken by surprise because it wasn't reflecting upon our past experience. It wasn't what we had come to know, and it almost wasn't Fiesta Slayer in its true essence. Essentially, you would spawn with an Ordnance, and you would get an Ordnance whenever you got a kill. And with these ordinances, they seem to be heavily focused on just the power weapons and power-ups rather than every weapon in the Halo 4 sandbox. So you would not be in those situations where you would have horrible ordinances such as pistols and grenades. It seems like it's just power weapons and power-ups. So not only that we were taken by surprise is that the fact that you'd also be able to bring in your custom loadouts. So this allowed for you to spawn with your favorite loadouts and have your own armor abilities and tactical packages. And so the only randomness was a slightly random overpowered ordnance call. And that is pretty much it in regards to randomness. However, back in March at this year's PAX East, 343 announced that they would be changing and updating the Fiesta Slayer game type to something, and I quote, something we prefer. So hopefully they turn it back into something more traditional in the sense of Fiesta. I would personally like to see the ability to have completely random loadouts so that you have no control of what you spawn with. So you would spawn with a random primary weapon, a random secondary, random grenades perhaps, maybe random armor abilities, random tactical packages or support upgrades, or just strictly random primary, random secondary, and a random grenade, and then have a more random ordnance selection when you do call and kill somebody, and also not have an ordnance call when you immediately respawn. But until 343 does implement some update, we don't know which path Fiesta Slayer is going to go on, so we just have to deal with the cards we have been dealt with. I'm not saying that I don't enjoy Fiesta Slayer, it just wasn't a Fiesta Slayer that we were expecting. So it is an enjoyable game variant if you haven't tried it. It's very chaotic, somewhat casual in some regard, and it's absolutely action-packed. So in an attempt to make it more enjoyable for the time being, I found a way to take advantage of the fact that you can bring in your custom loadouts into Fiesta Slayer and optimally making the best loadouts selection for Fiesta Slayer. Now for a quick lowdown on my loadout for Fiesta Slayer, it's really up to your preference up and until the tactical package and the support upgrades. So I'll just explain why I picked certain weapons. So primary weapons, obviously I picked something that I'm very familiar with and confident with. So I opt out for either a DMR or a battle rifle. And then my secondary, I actually choose a plasma pistol because this assists me in helping drop other people's shields and also really helps out when you approach an enemy that has overshield. Grenades, I stick with the trusty frag grenade because I'm used to how the frag grenade bounces and interacts with the environment. As for armor abilities, I really prefer jetpack because it allows you to utilize the skybox up above, whereas many other armor abilities are really confined to just your Spartan and its location, and it's a very chaotic playlist, so you got to be moving around. That's the whole point to staying alive in this. So other things like hard light shield won't really help you, as they rather impede your movement and just make you like a big target on the map. Now for the actual key point in the loadout, because basically up until this point it's all preference except for the armor abilities. Some really don't help you because they just say, oh hey, I'm over here. For what I really recommend is the fact that you make sure that you have enlisted in one of these specializations by the name of Tracker, because Tracker, once you've completed it, gives you the tactical package of Requisition, which allows you to re-roll your ordinances when you do earn one. Essentially, if you don't like the 3 options the Ordnance package has given you, you can hit up on the D-pad and gamble your chances and get potentially a brand new set of choices to pick from. Now, sometimes there may be some duplicates because it's not entirely random. Compared to other playlists, the Requisition Tactical Package really shines in the Fiesta game variant because the Ordnance choices are all focused on power weapons and power-ups, whereas in other playlists such as Infinity Slayer and Big Team Infinity Slayer, you have the chance of potentially getting an equally crummy set of choices for your Ordnance. So with that, the Requisition Tactical Package really does shine very well in the Fiesta Slayer because it's all focused on power weapons and there are high odds of you getting your desired power weapon or power up. Now in regards to support upgrades, I really don't see any other valuable one other than Dexterity, because many of these power weapons have long reload times and Dexterity really will help you out with this. All the other support upgrades target specific niches that don't really have time to exist in this playlist because of its fast playthrough. Now with that being said, you have a loadout that's perfectly set up to allow you to exploit the power weapon focus of these Ordnance drops, but this will all mean nothing if you don't know how to efficiently use these Ordnance drops. Now, it should go without saying the obvious goal of this game when you're alive is to get a power weapon and then potentially either get a power up or another power weapon or vice versa, and then complete the set by having 2 power weapons and a power up. And then you can rock the house with that loadout. Now my specific setup that I try to go for every match is to get a rocket launcher, an incineration cannon, and constantly be calling in speed boost, and combine this with the jetpack. I'm able to utilize the entire map super fast, utilize the skybots, fly around and attack the enemy as fast as efficiently as I can and get the heck out of there as fast as I can. Now notice that I said constantly calling in speed boost. Now regardless whether or not I already have speed boost and my 2 power weapons, I'm constantly striving to get more and more speed boost so I essentially don't run out. Because I feel that if you don't call in any ordnance and you don't even use it, it's not beneficial to you at all, and it doesn't really help you in the long run, as you can be using those ordinances to potentially help out your teammates. You can call it on in and be like, hey, I left this weapon over there for you if you need one, because sometimes people don't have requisition or they get a crummy choices for their ordinances. So you can help out your players in that regard. Or if no players are around, still call it in if you already have that weapon. For example, I do in some of my gameplays, if I have an incineration cannon and I have the option to call one in, I call it on in and I pick up the ammo regardless that this game variant actually has unlimited ammo. Therefore, it takes the ordnance away. It allows me to take the weapon off the map because I grab all of its ammo. Therefore, the enemy can't take it. And therefore, I can earn another ordnance. So potentially, if I do die or need another weapon or power up, I can then earn those when I do want them. In regards to the other power-up options, I don't really use the other 2, Overshield and Damage Boost, all that often because you can only have one power-up option active at one point in time. So I'm constantly using Speed Boost, but occasionally I will use the others. I use Overshield in situations where I know the other team has a lot of rockets and or they're throwing a lot of grenades, so then help reduce the effect of splash damage on my player. In regards to Damage Boost, I just use that for fun once in a while because it doesn't really protect you, it just helps you kill them much more easily and more efficiently, but it also can prove dangerous, especially with the incineration cannon, and if you're nearby, it just increases the splash damage by that much more, and I've had a few suicides unintentionally because I had damage boost and incineration cannon. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and in the end, it's all about your personal preference. Just make sure you use Requisition, utilize the power-ups when you need to, get those power weapons, and constantly call in those ordnance drops because one that you don't use isn't helping anyone, so why not make it help yourself? So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to leave a like or a favorite, it does greatly help out my channel. Subscribe if you haven't already for the latest in Halo 4. Going to be covering Destiny very soon, and I hope you guys find Fiesta Slayer that much more enjoyable. My name is Chief Landless, and I'm signing out.